Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great week. It is Monday, June 30th, 5:15 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I think we're still in Mountain Daylight Time. Local time here in Lexington, Nebraska. I might be in Central Time Zone. Let's see here. Right now it's saying it's 5:15 Central on my ELD. So yeah, I guess we're in Central Daylight Time because it matches. So 5:15 Central Daylight Time, local time here in Lexington, Nebraska. I'm at a Walmart. This is one of the few Walmarts left that has truck parking. I was so excited whenever I was doing my trip plan and I noticed that this Walmart had truck parking. I was like, oh my goodness, I can restock groceries. Not just groceries, I can buy coolant and, stuff like that, things for the truck at a reasonable price. So at the truck stop, they charge like $25 for a gallon of coolant. I got 2 gallons of coolant here for $7.50 a piece. And I got some K-Seal to put in the coolant because my coolant system was leaking like a year ago, a year and a half ago. It was a while back. And I put some K-Seal in, and it completely stopped leaking. Like, it was amazing. But then within like the last 6 months, it started leaking again. And so I just put some K-Seal in it again. So hopefully it stops the leak again. All right, let's get rolling, and we'll chat about all this while we're rolling. It's sketchy getting out of here. It's single lane. And I don't think this place is going to have truck parking much longer. There are probably 20 truck parking spots right here where I'm at. And then on the other side of the building, there's probably another 30 or 40 truck parking spots. This Walmart has a ton of truck parking. And what's really weird is that there's a sign out on the street that says truck parking this way, and it tells you to pull, down this road. And then when you pull down this road, there's a whole bunch of signs that say no trucks. So that's the reason I think that they might be like getting rid of their truck parking pretty soon, is because like they have truck parking and they have signs directing you to the truck parking. And then they have a whole bunch of signs that say no trucks allowed. Like some of these signs we're passing going this direction say no trucks. And there's a sign back there in the truck parking area that says no trucks. Just a second here. This pickup is waiting for me to clear the single lane. Give him a wave since she was respectful and nice. And all right, now we gotta I gotta swing really wide here. We're turning into a narrow street, so let's hope there's not somebody coming in making a turn. Sweet, we got it. It's a really blind turn. And you can tell people go up over that curb all the time. They put up a whole bunch of cement barriers, concrete barriers. All right, here we go. Got a green light. Stay green. Damn you. I'm running the yellow. I'm running the yellow on this right.
In half a mile, turn left onto the i-80 east ramp.
All right, we need to get over in the left lane, so we're going to get over here. We're doing it. We're getting on the interstate. But yeah, it was really nice to stock up on groceries. I spent $130 in Walmart. A bunch of it was the coolant and the K-Seal. The K-Seal was like $12 a bottle. So I spent like $25 on K-Seal, and then around $16 on coolant.
Turn left onto the I-80 East ramp.
Just a second here. What is that? $41. Just a second here. This is like a hairpin turn. Got to slow way, way down.
In 1,000 feet, merge onto I-80 East.
See if this four-wheeler's getting on the ramp with me. No, they went straight. Lots of RVs on the road. There's a lot of RVs on 80 because of Yellowstone.
Continue on I-80
What in the
East,
hell?
159 miles.
Are you serious, bro? This guy is not moving over for me. Like, what the fuck, man? That guy did not move over for me until the last second. I thought I was going to have to slam on my brakes. Like, he was way behind me. I could have easily moved in front of him, but he just wouldn't get out of the lane. I was waiting to see what he was going to do. He ran me into the damn shoulder. And he had plenty of room to move over. That cattle hauler looks pissed. He merged on behind me. I think he might be pissed at that lucky guy. Let's watch out here. Make sure he doesn't, like, do something aggressive, like cut him off or something. No, looks like we're good. He slowed down alongside of him. It looked like he probably like gave him the finger or something. I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't play stupid games with stupid people, because what do you win when you play stupid games with stupid people? You win stupid prizes. Don't do that stuff. Stupid people are going to do stupid things. It doesn't matter what you do. Just don't get involved with their stupidity. Just mitigate risk. So yeah, so what was it, like $41 of the $130 I spent was coolant and K-Seal, coolant repair stuff. And then what kind of food did I get? I got Oreo cookies. I got some deli-made cookies, some sugar cookies, and some what was the other kind? Macadamia nut cookies. Which they don't go like full macadamia nut. They go cheap in the deli. They mix in some white chocolate in with the mac. They put like a little bit of macadamia in there, but it's mainly white chocolate. And what else? What else did I get? Milk. They had some generic brand, like some generic version of Pringles chips, barbecue Pringles, that were on sale for $1.50 a tube. I got like 4 tubes of those things. I got a lot of hot dogs, like 2 packages of 20. They look like some kind of local brand. On the label, it says something about Husker It's something in Nebraska. It's like some local Nebraska brand, but it's I think it's hot links, but they're the same size as a normal hot dog. They're not like, big hot links or anything. They look just like hot dogs, but they're red like hot links. And they were in packages of 20. I bought 2 packages of those, and then a whole bunch of hot dog buns. See. I bought like 4 packages of hot dog buns, which is like 32 buns. So I didn't get enough buns for all the hot dogs, which is fine. I can eat some of the hot dogs without buns. And I got some cheese for the hot dogs. I already had mustard in the truck. What else did I get? I wanted to get a rotisserie chicken, but they didn't have any rotisserie chicken. It was real early. It was right when they opened up at 6 a.m. They're not 24 hours at this location. So they were just putting food out, hot food, as I was browsing around. I got like 2 breakfast burritos. They were tiny little burritos that were $1.50 each. They were a little overpriced for how small they were, and it was mainly just a tortilla shell. There was almost nothing inside of it. It was just this gooey mixture of, I don't know what it was, but it was just this slimy mixture of like some kind of meat and maybe some kind of eggs. But it was just slimy. It was really disgusting. But I spent money on it, so I ate it anyway. And then I bought a little cup of chicken bites. Basically, it's just floured fried chicken, really small ones, a cup full of them for like $3. And those are decent. I had a bottle of barbecue sauce in the truck, and I dipped them in that barbecue sauce. That's what I ate for breakfast this morning, or dinner, however you want to look at it, was those 2 burritos and that cup of chicken bites. What else did I get? What else? I can't remember what else I got. Oh, I got a bunch of Little Debbie snack things. Well, I got the off-brand stuff. I got off-brand, like Walmart brand honey buns and Walmart brand Swiss swirls or whatever, the chocolate things with the cream inside of them. And I got Little Debbie brand oatmeal pies. Does that account for the $90 of food that I got? Is that all of it? Oh, I did get a tub of potato salad, like deli potato salad, the deviled egg potato salad that the deli makes. Just a second here. ABF swerving over toward me. I always watch people when they're passing me, because when people look in their mirror, that's the direction that they go. So it's really common when people are passing me, whenever they look over at me, they'll drift over into my lane. Now, if you check your mirrors all the time, then you build up muscle memory to where you don't do that. So whenever you see somebody look in their mirror and their vehicle drifts really hard in that direction, the direction they're looking, that's because they never check their mirrors. And it looks, another good thing of note, it looks like Landstar's fuel app on the phone is finally working again. The Landstar fuel app hasn't been updating for like a week or more. It's been like 1 to 2 weeks that it hasn't been working. It's just been, the same fuel prices for like 1 or 2 weeks. And today, the fuel prices started updating. And I checked them against the Com Data app. You can go into the Com Data Driven app, and it has another fuel search feature where you can look at fuel prices and see what your discounts are. Heads up to another Landstar driver replied to one of my videos and told me that the Landstar fuel app wasn't working, and told me that the Com Data Driven app was showing the correct fuel prices. But that thing sucks, man. It loads up so slow. Like, it is so time consuming to use the Driven app to look at fuel prices. The Landstar app, I thought the Landstar app was a little slow, a little tedious to look at fuel prices, but after you use the Driven app, the Landstar app is incredibly fast. It's really bad. So, in this drive shift, well, let's talk about this real quick before we talk about this drive shift. So I had a decision to make. Whenever I first trip planned this, the Google recommended route looked good to me. And the Google recommended route was basically you get to Omaha, drive down to Kansas City, and then in Kansas City, you cut across on State Road 13, which is a nice divided road. I've driven it several times. And it cuts across between Kansas City and Springfield. And then in Springfield, you hop on some highways and state roads, and you cut across from Springfield, Missouri to Jonesboro, Arkansas. That's also a road that I've taken several times. Now, it's, a decent amount of bi-directional road that you're driving on, but it's a pretty nice road. And a lot of it is nice divided road. So I was like, and then after you get to Jonesboro, it's back basically interstate driving for the rest of the drive. So it's it is a lot. This route is a lot of state roads and highways in between Kansas City and Jonesboro, Arkansas. But they're mainly nice divided, state roads and highways. And they're roads that I've been on before, so I'm familiar with them. I'm comfortable with driving on them. I know what they're like. Well, yesterday, whenever I was checking to see the total mileage left on the trip, Google recommended another route. Google recommended that in Kansas City, instead of going from Kansas City to Jonesboro, Arkansas, it recommended to go to Nashville, Tennessee. Instead of going south out of Kansas City, I go east out of Kansas City on 70, and I take it through St. Louis, go over to Nashville, and then Chattanooga, and then I go south to Atlanta. I come into Atlanta from the north instead of from the west. And that route was 29 miles further, but it was all interstate. And I sat there and thought about it, and I debated all day long yesterday on which route to take. All interstate, but I have to go through a couple more major metropolitan areas. It's probably going to be a lot more traffic taking that route. And I might even get far enough east that I have to start driving in the mountains. I think the mountains start just past Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I don't think I'm going to get into any serious mountain driving on that route, but I might actually be driving in some mountains. I can't remember. I'm not that familiar with it. And I debated on which route to take, and looking at fuel prices and everything. fuel prices. So Nebraska City, Iowa, just south of Omaha, Nebraska, has some of the cheapest fuel on the route. $2.52 a gallon raw fuel price. That's the price after discount and also not including fuel tax. So in Nebraska City, Iowa, at the Pilot there, the Pilot Flying J, road work next 11 miles. Speed limit's dropping to 65. We're going a single lane, I bet. This entire drive on Interstate 80 across Wyoming and Nebraska has been tons of single lane for construction. Left lane closed in 1 mile. So my discount, if I remember correctly, in Nebraska City is $1.11 per gallon discount. Just a second here. I'm watching to see if there's anybody trying to cut me off. I've got a bunch of four-wheelers behind me, and they look like they're all just staying in their lane. They're just going to stay behind me. But people drive like panicked animals, so if somebody starts to make a move for a pass, they'll all start freaking out. So I'm just still watching them. Still watching them. They all seem to be just chilling back there. The big line of cars behind me. I'm surprised none of them passed. Two-way traffic ahead. All right. How long does this last? So back there it said 11 miles of construction. Passing prohibited next 9 miles. So we've got 9 miles of this bi-directional crap. And this is what I-80 has been like across a big chunk of Wyoming and Nebraska. Is just lots and lots of this. Oh, this is going to last a long time. They completely stripped out the road on the other side. It's just dirt over there. This is going to take a long time for them to get that other side. This side looks brand new. Looks like they just rebuilt this side. I wish they would make roads that lasted more than like 5 years, and then we wouldn't have constant road construction. But hey, then people wouldn't have a job, right? That seems to be the justification for not improving on a lot of things is, oh, you're going to put people out of work. We can't automate the ports and make it more efficient and a lot less expensive because you're going to put a whole bunch of people out of work. Like that was a big part of their union contract, was they wanted clauses in there that limited automation so they couldn't put people out of work. Like, that is really, really bad. It's so bad. But anyway, yeah, it's like $1.11 a gallon discount, and then it's 34 cents fuel tax. 34 cents a gallon fuel tax. Sorry, there's a piece of one of the posts in the road. I was just watching it to make sure that's what it was. Make sure it wasn't like a piece of wood with a nail in it. 7 more miles. So once you subtract the $1.11 plus there's a 6 cent per gallon discount for using either cash or a fuel card. So that's a total of $1.17 a gallon fuel discount. And then take away the 34 cents a gallon for the fuel tax. The raw fuel price comes out to $2.52 a gallon. 6 more miles. And that is some of the cheapest fuel that I can get on the entire route. In West Memphis, Arkansas, the fuel price at the Pilot Flying J there, I think it is $2.49 a gallon. So it's like 3 cents a gallon cheaper. The TA there is 7 cents a gallon cheaper than the Pilot Flying J. So it's like $2.42 instead of $2.49. 7 cents a gallon. I'm just going to go ahead and stick with Pilot Flying J and pay 7 cents a gallon more. Because Pilot Flying J's reward program is just so much better. I just don't want to deal with TA Petro. And, this is the reason that they have reward programs, is to get you, whenever you get into these decisions where fuel prices are within like 2 or 3 cents of each other, then you're going to lean heavily toward whichever place that you prefer the reward program of. So TA Petro is at a massive disadvantage to Pilot Flying J and Loves, because TA Petro's reward program is absolutely abysmal. It is not even competitive with Pilot Flying J or Loves. Pilot Flying J and Loves have nearly identical reward programs, and TA Petro is an outlier where their reward program is just atrocious. So Pilot Flying J and Loves have unlimited shower programs, where if you put 1,000 gallons of fuel in the truck, which for an over-the-road driver, that is easy to do. That is really easy to do. 1,000 gallons in a month is incredibly easy to do. Me setting a week in between loads, it's very difficult for me to do. I've never, since I've been an owner-operator, I've never gotten 1,000 gallons in a month. There have been a few months where I got close, but I've never been able to get it. 3 miles. For a normal over-the-road driver, it's incredibly easy. And you get unlimited showers. It's not really unlimited. It's 1 shower per day, per 24-hour period, I believe. But you also get all of your normal shower credits. So every time you put in more than 50 gallons, you're getting a shower credit, and then you have a free shower every day. So it is basically unlimited. You'd have to take a lot of showers to use up all of your shower credits. And that's good and bad. That's one of the reasons that Loves and Pilot Flying J have really long lines for showers. Because there are people that have so many shower credits that they will reserve a shower just to go take a crap. Just so they can have their own room to poop in. That is extremely common. Is for people to just go sit in a shower for 30 minutes to take a dump. That happens all the time at Loves and Pilot Flying J. That doesn't happen at TA Petro. TA Petro rarely has lines for showers because their shower program is so bad. Like, their reward program is so bad. There is no such thing as unlimited showers at TA Petro. And the shower credits at TA Petro only last for 7 days. Whereas Loves and Pilot Flying J, they last for 10 days. But if you're on shower power, like if you have the unlimited showers, I think that they last longer than 10 days if you're on shower power. 1 more mile. All right. The bidirectional is ending. So the massive, oh my goodness, there is a huge line of vehicles behind me. A mixture of cars, trucks, and RVs. There's a lot of RVs. Wow, the pickup behind me, the first car behind me, is like a quarter mile back. And they took that exit. Several of the four-wheelers took that exit right there. So, yeah, it'll be a minute, but that pack of cars is going to catch up with me. They're quite a ways back behind me right now. And then there's just going to be a line of vehicles passing me for a long time. All right, I forgot what I was talking about. Sorry. I'm really bad about that while I'm driving. When my focus shifts onto something, I completely space out on whatever I was doing before. So I'm just watching all the traffic behind me. They've caught up with me. What in the world is that? That's a race boat. SR something. And it looked like it said beach. Oh, there's another one. Beacon. SR Strong Racing. Beacon. SR Strong Racing. So this is like a convoy of SR racing, some boat racing. I wonder how many more vehicles are in this convoy. I bet that this RV, this truck RV contraption passing me right now is part of it. This is probably what they live in. Yep, SR Strong Racing. If you're curious as to how fast we're going, I have my cruise set at 65. Google says the speed limit is 75. So anyway, I apologize if I was in the middle of explaining something and I'm not going to finish because I can't remember what I was talking about. But what I was saying before I got off, I digressed into whatever I was talking about. Choosing the routes, I chose to go through West Memphis, Arkansas, because the fuel is a little bit cheaper on that route. I was talking about the reward programs. I remember now. I could drone on about that for hours. But yeah, TA Petro, their reward program is abysmal. But if, TA Petro's fuel prices are, better than Pilot Flying J and Love's, then that's where I'm going to buy fuel at. Like, if I'm going to save, $20 or $30, every time I fuel up by using TA Petro, then I'm not going to use Pilot Flying J just because they have a better reward program. I'm going to save money. What in the world? All of those SR people just exited at the rest area. The SR Strong convoy exited at the rest area. I was like, what in the world? There's so many people turning there. What's going on? And then I remembered, oh, it's that SR Strong convoy. And that rest area is full. That lucky guy that ran me into the shoulder was pulled into that rest area. But right now on Landstar's fuel card, Love's sucks. I think it was last year, we actually had good discounts at Love's. Love's was competitive. They weren't the best, but they were competitive. They were close enough with the others that if you wanted to use Love's, you could. What in the hell? Okay, I've got a truck alongside me. I can't move over. I don't see anyone around the vehicle. Looks like they have a flat on the right side. The vehicle's leaning on the right. That's one thing that really sucks about having somebody in front of you, somebody close in front of you, is you can't see that stuff until you're right up on it. It's the reason I don't like driving in packs. I like, being out here all by my lonesome. That way I can see stuff a mile in front of me and I can prepare for it. Because you can't do things quickly in these trucks. So, yeah, the right now Love's is not competitive. Pilot Flying J and TA Petro are very competitive with each other. There are some parts of the country where, one is better than the other, but in general, they're very competitive with each other. And because the Pilot Flying J reward program is so much better than TA Petro, that's who I'm using. That's who I've been using the last couple of years, is Pilot Flying J. For the first few years I was at Landstar, no one was competitive with TA Petro. So that's what I was using, was TA Petro for the first few years I was at Landstar. And then all of a sudden, Pilot Flying J became competitive, and I've been using them ever since. So yeah, this is the one spot on the route where TA Petro is actually like considerably cheaper than Pilot Flying J. It's, they're 7 cents a gallon cheaper in West Memphis, Arkansas. But I'm still going to use Pilot Flying J. I'm going to top off fuel in Nebraska City. So by the time I get to West Memphis, I'm going to be probably at 5/8 of a tank. So I'll probably put in like 75 gallons. And at 7 cents a gallon, that's, $5. I'm going to pay like $5 or $6 extra in fuel. It's negligible. It's not a big deal. Yeah, that's the route that I've chosen to take, is the West Memphis, Arkansas route, because fuel is on the, if I go through Chattanooga, the cheapest fuel along that route is like $2.65 a gallon. So I'm going to end up paying like 15 cents more a gallon for fuel on that route. And I'm going to have to deal with a lot more traffic, more metropolitan areas I'm going to have to drive through. So we are taking, we're instead of going out of Kansas City to Nashville, we're going to go from Kansas City to West Memphis, Arkansas. Now, in this drive shift, the plan is to top off fuel in Nebraska City, Iowa, which is where I get onto Interstate 29. Take my 30-minute break at the fuel island, like the rest of you. And then, like, Nebraska City should be after the 3-hour mark. You want to take your 30-minute break after 3 hours of driving. Because if you take it before 3 hours of driving, then you're going to have to take a second 30-minute break. You have 11 hours of drive time. You have to do a 30 every 8 hours. So if you wait until after 3 hours to take your 30, then you're not going to have to take another 30 in your drive shift. So it should be after the 3-hour mark. I'm 183 miles away. I've been driving for 39 minutes, and I'm still about 3 hours away. So it's going to be like 3.5, 4 hours into the drive shift whenever I get to Nebraska City. So I'll go ahead and take my 30-minute break there. And then I'm going to end the drive shift at a Love's truck stop off of like Highway 63. So I'm going to make it all the way through Kansas City, through Springfield, Missouri. And south of Springfield, I get onto some highways and state roads, and I cut across from Springfield, Missouri to Jonesboro, Arkansas. So it's like, I don't know, around 100 miles, maybe not even that, like 60, 80 miles past Springfield, Missouri is where I'm going to be stopping at a Love's truck stop at the end of this drive shift. And that will put me one drive shift away from the receiver. So in the next drive shift, I'm going to go from that Love's truck stop all the way to Atlanta. And I think it's going to be right around 500 miles to get to Atlanta. It's not going to be a full drive shift. And I'm planning on stopping at a Pilot Flying J that's maybe about 20 miles away from the receiver. And I'm going to hang out there until the delivery appointment. And then after I deliver the load, if I don't already have another load booked, I'll probably drive back to that same Pilot Flying J and hope I can get a parking spot and sit there through the holiday weekend. I'm really, really, really hoping that I'm able to get a load before the holiday weekend so I don't have to sit through the holiday weekend. I'd prefer to be at home. Like if I can find a load Thursday, it's probably not going to deliver over the weekend. It probably won't deliver until Monday. If I find a load, it's unlikely that I'll find a load that will deliver through the holiday weekend. So, but I would still prefer to be driving through the holiday weekend. I don't want to camp out in Atlanta through the holiday weekend. It's going to be really hot, and I'm going to have to idle the truck for air conditioning, so I'm going to have to burn a lot of fuel, and it's going to be really hard to find a parking spot. Truck parking in major metropolitan areas gets overrun during major holidays because there are so many people on home time, and lots of truck drivers live in major metropolitan areas. And then there are a lot of people that are just stuck through the holiday weekend waiting to deliver loads or waiting for loads or whatever. There's just a lot of trucks. Just a second here. There's people merging on the on-ramp. There's people camped out on the shoulder of the on-ramp. Excuse me. So yeah, it's going to be really, really hard to find a parking spot around the Atlanta area over the 4th of July weekend. So after I deliver the load, I want to get a parking spot ASAP if I'm going to have to sit there through the weekend. So that's the big plan. That's what's going on with me right now. I haven't gotten a single load alert. I have my load alert set up for Atlanta for loads that pick up on July 3rd or later. And I haven't gotten a single load alert since I booked this load. But I do have my load alert set up to only look for loads headed to the house. So I have my load alert set up for loads that deliver within, I think it's loads that deliver within 500 miles of Oklahoma City. It's either 250 or 500 miles of Oklahoma City. It might be 350. Might be 350 miles of Oklahoma City. So I'm basically looking for a load that's headed toward Oklahoma City. But as we get closer and closer to the 3rd, more and more loads get posted. There's not a lot of loads that get posted really far in advance. The vast majority of loads on the load board are posted within like 2 or 3 days of pickup. There are loads that get posted that don't pick up for a month or more, but there's not a lot of those. So as we get closer and closer to the 3rd, more and more loads will get posted. Oh, there's a big gap behind me. There's a bunch of vehicles back there, but they're about a mile back. Let me grab a soda while we have this open space. Oh, crap. Kind of a pain in the butt. We got one, but it was kind of a pain in the butt to fish a soda out of there. I just set the milk on top of the soda. I need to redo that whenever I get stopped. I forgot to fix that. Whenever I put all the groceries and everything away, I meant to put the soda on top of the milk so that I could easily get to them, and I forgot to do that. Ooh, I pulled out a good one. A Hawaiian punch. The only flavor I don't like is the lime one. The Sprite 7-Up knockoff. It's not bad. I just don't really care too much for it. I really like the orange and the grape and the tropical punch. The Hawaiian punch one. All three of those are good. And all those trees over to the right look about the same age. They look young. Looks like they might have been planted trying to reforest around here or something. But that, I think, I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. I think that pretty much covers everything that's going on with me. Oh yeah, there is. So I have the coolant leak issue. I can't find it. There's no coolant leaking on the ground. I can't find coolant anywhere. I don't know where it's disappearing to. And it's leaking about 1/4 of a gallon per week. So hopefully the K-seal that I just put in is going to fix that problem. But it will only seal a leak if it is metal. If the leak is in rubber or plastic, that won't seal it. Because it's basically JB Weld is what it is. But I have another issue with the truck that I need to fix. And that's with my headlight assembly on the right side. A few days ago, it started not working properly. During my post-trip inspection around Fort Bridger, Wyoming, I noticed that, so the turn signal still flashes on the light, but when the turn signal is not flashing and you have your lights on, the turn signal stays on solid as like a marker light or a running light. Well, it does not stay on solid on that headlight assembly. It still flashes whenever I turn my turn signals on. So if I'm doing an inspection and I just have my 4-ways on, you cannot tell that the light is not functioning properly. You can only tell whenever the light is not flashing that it's not working properly. And even then, you're not sure if it's not working properly unless you compare it to the other headlight. But if you're sitting there looking at both headlights at the same time without the lights flashing, it's really obvious that one of them is not on. So initially, I thought that the headlight was just out. I thought the bulb was out because when I noticed it was whenever the lights were not flashing and the light was just out. So I replaced the light. I had a spare in the truck. and the spare didn't work. I was like, what? Is the spare bad? And I looked at the light that I took out, and it still looked good. I didn't see any broken filaments in there or anything. I was like, what in the world? So I turned my four ways on, and that's when I saw that the light was working. That's when I figured out what was going on. And I thought, well, it's got to be a wiring issue. It has to be something in the control assembly or a wire or something. So I started looking through the wiring, making sure everything was connected properly. And that's when I very quickly noticed that there was a spot in the wiring that had rubbed up against something. And one of the wires was basically cut in half from rubbing up against something. So I just need to get in there, cut the bad part of the wire out, and splice it, and we'll be good to go. But that's not something that I want to do while I'm under time pressure to deliver a load, because I could get underneath there and cut the wire and end up screwing up the whole headlight assembly so the whole headlight doesn't work. And like, there's all kinds of things that could go wrong, and it could take longer for me to fix it than I think it, I don't want to be late for delivering the load. So my plan is to, if I don't have another load booked after I deliver this load, if I'm going to be camped out throughout the holiday weekend at the truck stop, then I will fix that wire at the truck stop. If I'm able to get another load right after I deliver this load, then I will go ahead and deliver that load and go home, and I will fix it while I'm at home. But it looks like it's going to be a really easy fix, and I am 90% certain I have everything I need to fix it inside the truck. I have wire connectors, and I have a new heat gun in the truck that's designed specifically for those wire connectors that are like, they're the type of wire connectors that you just heat them up and they automatically solder the wires together. They're not the wire connectors that you crimp. You're supposed to use some type of heat gun on them, and they will just solder the wires together. I haven't used them yet, but I have a big package of them, and I have a little heat gun thing that I bought specifically for them. The only thing that I'm not certain that I have is thin enough wire. I have a lot of wire in the truck, but it's all like battery cable. It's like 6-gauge, really thick wire, and I'm not going to be able to use that because these are tiny little wires. I know that I don't have any wire that's that thin, but I think I have wire that's thin enough that I could use it for this repair. There's a pack of, looks like 4 trucks and a car coming up on me right now. They're about quarter-mile back. 105 miles to Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln is where I'm going to get off the interstate and I'm going to take some state road or highway and cut across to Interstate 29. Because if you drive all the way up to Omaha, I-80 turns north at Lincoln. And it goes north up to Omaha. And then if you drive up all the way to Omaha to get onto 29, is this the SR Strong? Yep. This is the SR Strong convoy passing me again. It's their 4 trucks. So they stopped at the rest area to take a leak. And now they're out here rolling hard again. That's number 2. Where's the rest of them? The truck behind me does not look like it's part of their convoy. There's 2 more trucks behind me, but they're not moving at the same speed as SR Strong. And they don't look, it's a green truck, and SR Strong has like this, all their vehicles are gray. So where are the other 2 vehicles in the SR Strong convoy? There were at least, I want to say there was 1 or 2 more vehicles in their convoy. And I think there was a 4-wheeler driving along with them. They'll probably pass me in a minute. They probably weren't able to stick together because of limited parking at that rest area. There was like nowhere to park. So these guys probably left the rest area and the other ones stayed behind to use the restroom and said that they would catch up. But yeah, if you go all the way up to Omaha to get on Interstate 29, you have to go really far north, and then you have to come back south. And I think it's approximately 50 miles further if you drive up to Omaha to get onto 29. So in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's a highway or state road that you can cut across to Interstate 29. It's a really, really popular cut across. And I hope that they are done with the construction on it, because last time I drove on it, like half of it was brand new, really nice, awesome road, and then the other half of it was under construction and it was like bi-directional crap. But I haven't driven on that road in a couple of years, so hopefully they finished all the construction and it's a really nice divided road all the way across now. Wow, that Pilot parking lot is packed. That's something I've seen a lot of on this drive, is truck stops that are just almost completely full during the daytime. That is very weird to see truck stops really full during the daytime. Maybe a lot of drivers have gone to nighttime driving. I know that traffic at night is a lot worse than it used to be. So maybe that's it. Because I would not expect that truck drivers are already going home for the 4th of July weekend. Truck drivers don't typically get a lot of time off, so truck drivers are probably not going to be getting home for the 4th of July weekend until like Thursday night, maybe even Friday. There's SR. That guy is hauling butt. So that's one of the SR strong convoy trying to catch up with the others. I know there's at least one more. There was that RV semi-truck thing. But it was really weird because I think there might have been a road closure or something. There was weird parking on 80 and 84. Well, 84. So across Oregon and Idaho, there was tons of parking. Even in the middle of the night, truck stops and rest areas were only like half full. There was tons of parking available. But as soon as I got to the Salt Lake area on Interstate 84, all of the truck stops and rest areas were just overrun. People were all parked all up and down the on-ramps and off-ramps. And it's basically been like that ever since Salt Lake area. Ever since I crossed the border into Utah, across Utah, Wyoming, Nebraska, on 84 and 80, all of the parking has been overrun. That Walmart that I stayed at last night, oh my goodness, it was overrun. The only reason I think that I was able to find a spot was because of all of those no truck signs. There were a ton of signs that said no trucks, and I just ignored them and drove because I saw all that truck parking. Whenever I was driving off the interstate, I saw all that truck parking on that side of the building. I was like, why do they have all these no truck signs going to the truck parking area? And, this was in, I got there like 5:30 in the morning. There was nobody around, so I was like, I'm just going to drive down here, see what's going on. They had like 2 no truck signs that you had to drive past to go down that single lane down the side of the building. And then there was a no truck sign in the truck parking area over there on that side of the building. But there was a whole bunch of trucks parked there, and there were several open spots. There were probably, if I had to guess, there were like 20 spots, and there were like 8 spots open out of the 20. So what I was thinking was, I will just park here, wait for them to open up at 6 a.m. I'll go in there and do some grocery shopping, and then I'll go to the truck stop across the interstate on the other side of the interstate. Mom and pop truck stop that had a big parking lot. But as I was driving in, I glanced over at that mom and pop truck stop, and it was overrun with trucks. There were trucks creatively parked everywhere. There were people parked on the shoulder of the main road. Once I got parked in at Walmart after I did my grocery shop, and I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't really want to go over there and deal with that mess. This is really nice and quiet. There's not a lot of traffic around here, and Walmart does not appear to be bothering anybody. And there are people that have recent reviews on the place within the last month that say that Walmart is okay with you taking your 10-hour break there. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to risk staying here. So I pulled the curtains and went to sleep, and oh my goodness, it was amazing. I slept like a baby. I was asleep by about 9 a.m. and I woke up right at 5 p.m. About 4:30. So I got like 7.5 hours of sleep. Just a second here. That guy just almost clipped me. That's what I'm talking about with people passing me. Like you can tell he just looked in his mirror again because he just drifted over to this lane again. And then he pulled back over to the left. Every time that person is looking in their mirror, they're drifting over into this lane. Just a second here. I'm catching up on this budget that's going slower than me. And I'm looking for an opening to get over into the left lane. I've got the cruise set at 65. Speed limit is 75. I don't want to block the left lane. It looks like there might be a couple of slow vehicles that I'm catching up with. Looks like there might be several vehicles I'm going to be passing. All right, I've got an opportunity to get out right now in between all these cars that are passing me. So I'm going to speed up to 70 so that I'm not blocking the left lane, maybe 75. And I'm going to get around this budget. And I'm also going to pass that semi truck right there. We're doing 74 miles an hour right now. I hope this semi truck's going slower than me. It doesn't look like somebody that's passed me recently. It looks like somebody I've caught up with. I've slowed down to 72 and I'm still flying by them. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think I would have remembered this truck passing me. They've got a lot of distinct designs on their vehicle and their trailer. This four-wheeler behind me is not happy because there's just a line of four-wheelers that were passing me and I just had to wait for an opening. So the four-wheeler that I moved in front of was ticked off, tailgating me. All right, now we're just slowing it back down to the cruise speed. Anybody out there that thinks governed trucks at low speeds is a good thing, just think about if I was governed in that situation. I'd be sitting back there passing those vehicles for 15 minutes and I'd create a massive traffic jam. Whereas since I'm not governed, I can just speed up to the speed limit of 75, pass all of them in 30 seconds, and traffic keeps flowing. And we're back here in the open road, much, much safer than doing snail races. Snail races are dangerous. The only problem with ungoverned trucks are immature people. And those immature people are going to do stupid things no matter what. And if you put them in an ungoverned truck, they're going to be able to do, really even more dangerous things. So yeah, I'm not completely for having ungoverned trucks. Wow, this four-wheeler almost rear-ended me. There's a car passing me, and that idiot passed them on the right and then cut in between us. There was hardly any room in between that car and me. They passed him on the right and cut in between. We almost had a three-vehicle accident because of that moron. All right, this looks like the SR Strong RV, the semi-truck with the RV attachment on it and the trailer. That's the vehicle. I'm pretty sure that's the vehicle behind me right now. I think this is the last vehicle in the SR Strong convoy, aside from that four-wheeler that I think was riding with them. But that four-wheeler might be with this RV. No, I don't see a four-wheeler around it. So maybe they did not have a four-wheeler traveling with them. Yep, that's the SR Strong RV. Looks like they have 3 championship trophies on the side of that thing. Painted on the side of it, look like 3 championship trophies. I couldn't imagine racing boats. That seems like something that would be incredibly dangerous because you're driving on an uneven surface at insane speeds. Like you could have, if you have any unexpected waves, oh my goodness. Those things are going so fast. If you hit a wave, you could like take off like an airplane. Or if something causes your front end to dip down into the water, oh my goodness, it would just shred the boat. Yeah, high-speed boat racing seems incredibly dangerous to me. Seems like it'd be a lot more dangerous than racing a car. Well, that rest area only has 2 trucks in it. The last one we passed was overrun. "84 miles to Lincoln." That's like an hour and 24 minutes at a 60-mile-per-hour average. I don't think I'm going to record all the way to Lincoln, because we're probably at an hour and a half right now, close to it. I can't see the camera. I could lean over and look at the camera to see what the time is, but I've got so many vehicles passing me right now that I can't do that. If I get into a section of road where there's nobody around me, then I can look over. But right now, got one more car and then a truck, and then there's nobody behind me for about a half a mile. But these cars are coming up on me so fast that by the time this truck finishes passing me, those cars that are like a half mile back will probably be passing me. And yeah, that semi truck that I passed a long time ago was going a lot slower than me, because just me going back on my cruise speed of 65, they have disappeared. They are way, way, way behind me. All right, I have a little gap right here. An hour and 38 minutes, an hour 30. I can't read it. It's really hard to see. And now the car's caught up with me and it's starting to pass. When I looked over, that car was a quarter mile back. Like that's how much faster these vehicles are going than me. Is like, even whenever I have like a quarter to a half mile of space behind me, it only lasts a couple of seconds because these vehicles are flying up on me so quick. All right, after these two cars, I have about a half mile to the next vehicles. One hour and 20 minutes. So I really don't like to go over about 2 hours on the videos. So I guess we can go a little bit longer. But we're still 80 miles away from Lincoln. That sign says 81 miles to Lincoln. So we're not going to be able to record all the way to Lincoln. I mean, we could, but there's a lot of reasons I don't really want to go over 2 hours. One of them is video corruption. Once we start getting around the 2 hour mark, the file size starts getting so big that the risk of corruption gets really high. I think I might try to do a driving video while I'm driving in between Springfield and Jonesboro on those state roads and highways. That would probably be a lot more interesting than just cruising down the interstate. You know, driving through small towns and bi-directional roads and stuff like that. And I'm mainly doing nighttime driving, which is why I'm recording at the beginning of my drive shift right now. So I started driving an hour and 21 minutes ago. So that was just a little after 5 p.m. So I should be ending this drive shift right around 5 a.m. So I'm going to be stopping at that Love's. So I'll do the same thing tomorrow in the next drive shift. I'll try to start recording as soon as I leave the Love's. And looks like a cop's got himself somebody on the other side of the interstate. And I'll record a couple of hours of me driving across Missouri and Arkansas on those state roads and highways. Huh. Looks like they were working on a flat tire. But it looked like they'd also been there for a while because they had their sunscreen over their front windshield. So maybe they had a blowout and they had to go get a tire. And now they're back there putting the tire on. Blowouts on those small trailers like that are so incredibly common because people overload those things. A lot of those small little utility trailers have very low weight capacity. And people don't really have any idea what the weight capacity of those things are. Even RVs, a lot of them have really low weight capacities, and people overload them. A lot of people just have no idea what the weight capacity of their vehicle or their trailer is, their RV or whatever, and they just put whatever they can fit in it or on it. And they overload those things, and then they have a lot of blowouts. I remember when I was a little kid, we were moving from California back to Oklahoma, and we had one of those cheap little utility trailers, and it was just it was way overloaded. It looked like something out of like Grapes of Wrath. You know how they overloaded those vehicles in Grapes of Wrath? We had an El Camino with a trailer on it, and the bed of the El Camino and that trailer were both way overloaded. And we had several blowouts on that trailer. I think we ended up abandoning the trailer. We also had a second car, some little sports car. It was a hatchback sports car that had round, it looked like a Porsche, but it wasn't a Porsche. It had round, I remember it had round headlights that were really cool looking. They like stuck up higher than the hood. It reminded me, when I think about it, I think of a Porsche, but I know it wasn't a Porsche. And what had happened was, whenever we decided to move back to Oklahoma, we were living in a junkyard, and I don't like calling them my parents. They weren't really my parents. The people that were taking care of me were working at the junkyard, and the guy that owned the junkyard, whenever we moved to Oklahoma, he basically gave them that car. That car had just been given to us, and I think he also gave them the trailer, and they just overloaded everything. And the trailer had so many blowouts that I think we just abandoned it on the shoulder. And then the car had an oil leak. And the woman that was taking care of me was driving the car, and the guy was driving the El Camino, and I was riding in the car, and she was getting, like all kinds of warnings and errors on the dash about the oil. And she was honking the horn and flashing the lights, trying to get him to pull over, and he wouldn't pull over. I think she pulled alongside of him and was like telling him to pull over, and he wouldn't pull over. And she just didn't know how to deal with that situation. So she just kept following him until the engine basically seized. And they abandoned that car. They just left it at a convenience store. So we abandoned the car, we abandoned the trailer, we just drove there in the El Camino, which is what the guy wanted. The guy was, I don't want to get, really deep into my personal life, but the guy was really messed up in the head, and he was very controlling, and that car was given to her. It was her car, and man, she cried so much whenever that engine seized up. And he wanted that. He did not want her to have that car. So I think we all knew that it had an oil leak. This is back when I was like 7 years old, and I knew what was going on back then. But we all knew that it had an oil leak, and we had to stop every couple hundred miles and put oil in it. And he intentionally ran it until the engine seized so that she wouldn't have that car. But anyway, I digress into that story. That brings up a whole bunch of memories. Like, she had, you know what? I don't want to get into a lot of my personal life. Let's just stop there. Like, I could ramble about that for hours. I grew up around people that had some serious issues. But yeah, I'm expecting that we're going to see a lot of blowouts with RVs and utility trailers and campers and stuff like that over the next week. All these weekend warriors going out for the 4th of July weekend, overloading these vehicles and blowing tires. And I'm hungry right now. I have all of that food that I just bought. And I'm just sitting here thinking about it. Like, man, hot dog. I want to try those Hot Link hot dog things. I hope that they actually taste like Hot Links. Which makes me think of my induction cooktop. I brought it out with me in the truck this time. I've been wanting to buy one of those induction cooktop things for like 10 years. I finally got around to buying one about a year ago. And I tested it at the house for a long time. And then this is the first trip I've ever brought it out into the truck. And the inverter will not power it. I need to replace the inverter. Just a second here. We got a bunch of vehicles merging on. We're going up just a very, very slight grade. And it doesn't look like we're going to reach the peak until we get to that bridge up there. So these trucks are going to have a little bit of a difficulty getting up to speed. So hopefully they're able to get up to speed before I catch up to them. Because I don't want to have to slow down. I don't want to have to pass them. I don't want to play leapfrog. They're most likely going to be going faster than me. So I've been having a lot of issues with the inverter. It's a 2,500 watt inverter, but it is not putting out anywhere near that much power. Like, it should be able to run my 1,500 watt microwave, but it doesn't. The microwave will turn on, it'll work, but it takes forever to heat anything up. Road work in 2 miles. Are we going back to single lane again? This is going to suck if it's single lane because I've got a couple of trucks catching up with me right now, and they're going to be wanting to pass me just as we're getting into the single lane. Road work next 16 miles. Are we going into 16 miles of single lane? Oh my goodness. It's probably 16 miles of this single lane bidirectional that I've been dealing with all across Wyoming and Nebraska on 80. Hopefully that's not it because traffic just got really congested. And there's going to be people that are going to get really aggressive if they see a sign that says single lane up ahead. A second here. I got 2 trucks passing me right now. One truck is using me to pass another truck. They basically got out and around the other truck and ran them into me to get them to slow down so that they could get around them easier. I hate it when people do that. They'll sit back behind you waiting to pass until you catch up with a slower vehicle. And then as soon as you start to get close to that slower vehicle, they'll get out and block you in behind it. When people try to do that to me, I don't let them do it. I will, whenever they start to try to pull out, I'll pull out with them. I'll pull out in the left lane right along with them and go ahead and pass that slower vehicle. This FCC truck in front of me that merged on in front of me is going just like a hair slower than me. I think we're both going 65. They're just going at the low end of 65. I'm just slowly catching up with them. And I know that there's an aggressive driver in that FCC truck because I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, but whenever they merged on, there was a truck in front of them on the on-ramp. And that FCC truck drove across the median of the on-ramp and got onto the interstate, hopped out in the left lane, and tried to pass that other truck. Like incredibly aggressive. But the other truck out accelerated the FCC, and then FCC had to fall back in behind them. So that was a really, really stupid thing that the FCC driver did. And it shows that they are incredibly immature. They're very aggressive, and they're a dangerous driver. So I have to be careful around this FCC driver. All right, so we're in the 16 miles of construction, and I'm not seeing anything going on. And I can't really see much around this FCC truck. I'm just slowly creeping up on it. There's vehicles catching up with me. They're about a quarter mile to half a mile back right now. I'm going to go ahead and speed up to 75, and I'm going to get around this FCC truck. Because there's a lot of vehicles catching up with me right now. So I have a nice big opening to get around this FCC truck right now. So I'm going to go ahead and get around them. We're doing 71 right now. $72. About 200 feet in front of the FCC truck. We're going to start moving over. I'm going to stay at 70 for a few seconds here and just get some distance in front of this FCC truck. We're about 500 feet in front of them right now. And I'm slowly letting it drop down to 65. We're at 68 right now. There's a big truck passing me with about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars behind it. 66. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let off the throttle, and we're dropping back down to our cruise speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. More, might be. Well, there were like 6, but now there's like 3 or 4 more cars that got to the back of the pack. There's like 10 or 11 cars out in the left lane passing right now. This is the pack of vehicles that was catching up with me. This is the reason that I wanted to go ahead and pass FCC before this pack caught up with me. Otherwise, they would have just ran me into the back of FCC, and I had to slow down and just sit there behind them until all these cars got around. The pack just keeps getting bigger because faster cars keep catching up to the back of them. All right, looks like this is the last one, and then there's a break for about a quarter to a half a mile, and then there's another pack of vehicles. Yeah, traffic is probably going to be really, really crazy starting around Wednesday or Thursday. Which is why I'm glad that I should be basically within 20 miles of my delivery location Wednesday morning. So I think I'm going to be able to get into position before the holiday traffic gets too bad. And man, I hope I find another load. You know, whenever tomorrow, if I'm going to be on pace to get there like Wednesday morning, I'll email the agent and ask them if I can deliver a day early. Ask them what's the delivery like at this place? Like, are they strict delivery schedules, or is just like first come, first serve, just show up whenever? Like, some places are really lax on delivery appointments, and some places are incredibly strict. And I just have no idea what this place is like. I don't even know if this is a Google warehouse or if it is, something else. Because there's not... You know what? Let me look at the paperwork real quick. There's not any clear indication on Google Maps on it. It says it's Sam's Warehouse. Sam's Warehouse is what it's called. I don't know what that means, because Google has terminals that are called like RXO or GXO or various names.
There's an object on road ahead.
Object on road ahead, says Google. All right, let's keep an eye out for... All right, I think I see it. This van is going to drive right over the top of it. You do not want to run over big chunks of tire like that. They can get thrown up and rip wiring out. They can blow out other tires. They can wrap around stuff like that. Those tires are really, really, really heavy and sturdy. Like, they can cause a tremendous amount of damage to your vehicle if you run over one of those things. What in the hell is this truck doing? There's a truck behind me that got out into the left lane about 500 feet behind me. And is going like almost the same speed as me. I don't know why they're sitting out there in the left lane blocking traffic so far behind me. Some people do that. There's some people that get out to pass way too early. And whenever I see somebody do that, I always assume that they have like that radar equipment in their truck that automatically slows down their truck for them and automatically brakes for them and stuff like that. And like, they have to get out in the left lane because if they're approaching a vehicle that's going slower than them, their equipment will not let them accelerate. It'll cause them to speed match the vehicle in front of them. So anytime I see somebody get out really early, like, you know, a quarter, a half mile behind me, they're getting into the left lane, I just assume that they have all of that stupid equipment in their truck. And it looks like it's a Werner driver, and Werner is notorious for having all of that stuff in their trucks. Werner is the first company that I'm aware of that had ELDs. And the rumor that I heard is that Werner made a deal with DOT or FMCSA or whatever regulatory body it is that shuts down your carrier authority. Werner was like on the verge of getting their authority shut down, and they made a deal to put ELDs into their equipment. And that's basically what started this whole ELD thing, was Werner. Yeah, just come over real close. He gets out in the left lane a half a mile behind me. Well, it's not like, it's more like 500 feet behind me. I'm exaggerating. But then they want to come over 50 feet in front of me. That is incredibly dangerous. And there was somebody in the passenger seat, so I'm guessing it's a trainee with a trainer in the there's a trainee driving the truck with a trainer in the passenger seat. All right, we've got 47 miles until we get off of Interstate 80. Getting a little cold in here. My temperature gauge says it's 84 degrees outside, but it's not really accurate. Whenever there's direct sunlight on the mirror where the temperature gauge is at, it usually reads 10 degrees hot when I'm moving. If I'm stationary, like, it can get 30, 40 degrees off. Like it's just whoever designed the temperature gauge on Volvo is a moron, because the place where they put it gets really hot with direct sunlight, and it's a useless reading. Now at night, when there's no direct sunlight on it, it gets fairly accurate. So 83 degrees, it is probably 75 degrees outside if I had to guess. And my temperature gauge inside the truck is reading 61. So let's turn down some fans on the air conditioner. Where are we at? We're at an hour and 51 minutes. We need to wrap this up pretty soon. Traffic should lighten up once I get onto 29. 29 is a fairly low traffic interstate. Well, it's low traffic north of Omaha, so it may not actually be less traffic since I'm getting onto it south of Omaha. And there's a lot of people parked at the truck stop. I'm curious, does anybody have, the only guess that I have as to why there's, not long ago, I don't know exactly when, but I would guess, just within the last couple of years, just a second here, there's a van racing on the on-ramp to get in front of me. Oh, they realize that they don't have the acceleration for it. That's what happens when people race to get in front of me on the on-ramp. They just manage to get right alongside me. Like, they floor it. They're going as fast as they can down the on-ramp, and they just manage to get right alongside me. There's all this room behind me, but they're going to drive really aggressive and almost get into an accident trying to get in front of me. So, within the last couple of years, something has changed with truck stops. Used to, truck stops would basically empty out during the daytime. During the daytime, there would be almost no one parked at the truck stop. It would be empty. Now, it is really common for me to see the truck stops. There are certain places that the truck stop is almost full 24 hours a day. And that's the way it's been for many years. Places like Dallas, Texas, Los Angeles, California. Those truck stops in town, they stay full all day long. They'd never empty out. But out in the country, out where I'm at right now, out in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, typically the truck stops completely empty out during the daytime. Out of 150 parking spots at a truck stop, there might be 20 or 30 trucks parked. But at some point in the last couple of years, that's changed. And I'm not sure if it's just the amount of trucks that we have over the road, or maybe there are a bunch of abandoned trucks at truck stops. Or maybe a lot of truck drivers have gone to nighttime driving because of the parking. It's really hard to get truck parking. So, I've always been a nighttime driver. I started truck driving 20 years ago. Back then I was a nighttime truck driver. But maybe more people are doing that. I am noticing a lot more traffic at night. There seems to be almost as much truck traffic at night as there is during the day. There's less four-wheelers at night, but there seems to be right around the same number of trucks at night as there is during the day. So maybe there's just a lot of nighttime drivers. So what do you guys think it is? Like, have you heard anything? Is it a lot of abandoned vehicles at the truck stops? A bunch of people that went out of business, they just left their trucks at the truck stops? Or have a lot more drivers move to nighttime driving, so they're sleeping at the truck stops during the day? Or is it just the massive number of trucks that we have out over the road? Or is it just kind of a combination of everything? I haven't heard a reason why. But I do know that over the last 5 to 10 years, the massive increase in the number of trucks in this industry has caused a lot of places to move to paid parking. And I remember a few years back, the TA in Troutdale, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, basically. The TA in Troutdale used to be one of my favorite places to hang out because there were lots of trees. It was really well shaded. There's several restaurants nearby. They have a McDonald's that's not part of the truck stop, so it doesn't have truck stop prices. You can get like normal, like really expensive prices that like the cost of fast food has gone up to the point where like fast food costs as much as going out and eating a steak dinner used to cost like 5 years ago. And then at truck stops, it's, another 50% premium on top of those already jacked up prices. But anyway, the TA in Troutdale used to be one of my favorite truck stops to hang out at. It was really full all the time. It was hard to get a parking spot, but still one of my favorite places to hang out at until they made the whole parking lot reserved parking. And I was in there. I didn't know that they made the whole parking lot reserved parking. And I rolled in there and I was like, oh my God, it's all reserved. There were only like maybe 10 or 11 spots that were not reserved. And I managed to get one of those spots. And still, I was in a spot that was not marked as reserved. And the manager still came out there and knocked on my truck and asked me for my receipt for paid parking. And I was like, this isn't a reserved spot. He's like, well, then where's your handicap sticker? I'm like, it's not a handicap spot. And he said, yes, it is. And I said, look at it. There's no reserve. There's no handicap. And he went out there and looked, and he was like, well, I forgot to paint this then. It should be either handicap or reserve. I'll get that fixed. And then he walked off. Well, I ended up getting the APU worked on in the shop a few days later, and I was in there talking with the mechanics, and the manager walked up and started chatting with us. And the manager started talking about the parking situation. So I was like, what in the hell's going on with all the reserved parking? Like, almost the whole parking lot's reserved now. And he was like, yeah. And the other TA and Petros are going to start doing it too. We've all been talking about it, and everybody's going to start moving to reserved parking. He said, we've gotten tired of all of the people, all the locals leaving their trucks at the truck stop. They're just dropping their trucks off and going home. He said it's not just that. There are trucking companies that just use us like their terminal. They just park their trucks here, and there's people that are parking trucks here long term. He said that he had a bobtail in the bobtail parking lot that was broke down and had been parked in the same spot for like 3 years. And he said people are just abusing the parking lot, and he said he's tired of it. And there was a local in there in the shop that was, this was around Christmas. This was during Christmas. And the local was at home for like a couple of weeks for Christmas. And the local was like, well, I'm a local and I park here. And that manager looked at him and like his face got red. He was so mad. He's like, well, you're part of the problem. He started ripping into that local that was parked there. And the local was like, hold on, man. He started ranting and raving about like locals don't pay for reserved parking. And then when I go out there and, tell them to leave the spot, they won't leave the spot and they refuse to pay. And they act like it's their property. And he was just ranting and raving at this local guy. And the local guy's like, whoa, hold on a minute. I've paid for my spot. I've paid like over $300 to be parked here during Christmas. And then the manager calmed down a little bit and he's like, okay, well, if you're paying for the spot, then that's just a second here. I got some truck, Schneider, slow passing me. We're going to slow down to 60 because this Schneider is blocking traffic going like 67, maybe like 2 miles an hour faster than me. Don't come over to my damn lane. He's just like, he's looking over at his mirror constantly. I knew this asshole was going to cut me off. He kept coming over to my lane and, oh my God, what an idiot. I slowed down to 60 because he's out here blocking traffic, snail racing me, and he still comes over and cuts me off. Anytime you see somebody passing you and they're just like constantly looking over in their mirror and they're drifting into your lane, they're probably going to cut you off. Like as soon as they think they have enough distance, they're going to come over. That's the reason they're checking their mirror every, like 4 times a second. Or what were we talking about? Oh, the TA, the shop manager. I think he was the shop manager, but he was the one that ran the parking, apparently. But yeah, he was just ranting and raving. And I was like, you've only got like 10 or 11 unreserved spots left in the parking lot. And he's like, yeah, and those unreserved spots, he said that he was probably going to mark them as reserved. He said the people that are in those 10 or 11 spots are locals that are just camped out. They're perma-camped in those spots. They hardly ever move their vehicles. But he said he had gotten in touch with a tow company that was willing to tow trucks off the property. And he was going to start towing trucks because apparently up to that point, he had no way to enforce the parking. Like if he walked up and told you to pay for, if you were parked in reserved parking and you refused to move, he couldn't do anything about it. If you refused to pay, you refused to move, he basically said he couldn't do anything about it. That's the reason he was so mad, is because he just, like, people knew that he couldn't do anything. So they just tell him to go screw himself, like literally. They would tell him to screw off. And he was an angry person. But yeah, reserve parking is getting out of hand. But I can I don't like reserved parking, but I can understand it. Because there are so many people that just abuse other people's property. They abuse the truck stops. You're not supposed to leave your truck unattended at the truck stop. That's not what it's there for. It's not your place to park your truck while you go on home time. Just a second here. This van is tailgating the hell out of this car. It's really, really dangerous for vehicles to be that close together, especially at high speed. 80 miles an hour, 10 feet off the bumper of another vehicle. And that's the reason so many people die on these, like July 4th holidays. We get a lot of people out here on the road that aren't used to driving on the interstate, and they're out here driving like they're still in city traffic, tailgating people 5 feet off their bumper, driving really aggressive. And pretty much every holiday that I drive on, I end up driving past some major accident. I remember, I think it was a July 4th weekend. I was driving out of LA on I-10, and once I got into Arizona, there was a massive backup, huge backup. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, and there were people talking on the radio about a wreck, and I ended up looking on my phone at the local news, and the local news was covering the accident. There was apparently, like, I don't know, 5 to 7 people that died. There was a carload of people basically going to the lake for 4th of July. And there was a car and I think a truck. I can't remember how many vehicles were involved in the accident. But I think everybody in the car died. It was a carload of people. It was like a family going to the lake for the 4th of July weekend. Lots and lots and lots of weekend warriors. Just a second here. There's a car alongside me. Is this somebody with a boat? What the hell is that thing? They're changing a tire on the right side of that trailer. This is something I was talking about earlier. That's something that you're going to see a lot of on like holidays. These weekend warriors and their trailers and their RVs and their campers and all that stuff blowing tires because they're overloading them. Or that didn't look overloaded. That I couldn't tell what that was. It looked like it might have been a boat. That probably wasn't overloaded weight. It might have been. It was probably just been sitting a long time. You have these people that have these boats and it's just sitting in their backyard, and then they get out and they're doing a 300-mile road trip with it, and those tires have been sitting for 5 years. They haven't been rotated, and they're rotted out and they'll blow out. So yeah. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of weekend warriors. Oh my goodness, they got the U-Haul, they got the U-Haul trailer, and then they got the car. The car is completely loaded with crap as well. And it looks like this one's traveling with them as well. That pickup truck is completely loaded with crap. And then whatever that little SUV is that's passing them is completely loaded with crap. But I don't think that's traveling with them. It looks like it's passing them. And we got 2 more U-Hauls coming up on me right now. So are these people that are moving, or are they weekend warriors? They're going on like a couple week vacation. They got their U-Haul trailer. They got their four-wheeler. Second here. This is the last of the U-Hauls passing me. I don't think they're all traveling together. This is just kind of some weird thing that's going on where there's just a whole bunch of U-Hauls in a pack together. There were definitely like that one U-Haul and the two cars with it were definitely traveling together. Those three vehicles were traveling together. I think these two vehicles might be traveling together. I've only got 24 miles until I get off of Interstate 80. And it's 84 miles to the fuel stop. So that means it's 60 miles to cut across 80 to 29. So I would love to keep recording, but you know, once the file size starts getting too big, then we start running into issues. So we're gonna have to cut it off here pretty soon. I can't tell how long it's been going. It's been over 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. Is this a UPS? It's about to pass me. Looks like a UPS. Actually, looks like an ABF. So after this thing makes it around me, then we'll wrap up the video. Something else I noticed whenever I was doing an inspection on the truck is my alternator belt. One little outside sliver of the belt appears to have like come off of the like it rubbed off or something. It's wrapped around some of the stuff in there. I need to cut it out, but now the belt looks good. Like, it's a really wide belt. It's not squeaking or anything. What does this sign say? Road work at Minnesota 382. Or no, mile marker 382. Head-to-head traffic, expect delays. So we have bidirectional traffic at 382. We're at 376 right now. So in 6 miles, we're going to go into bidirectional single lane traffic. The four-wheelers are seeing that sign and they are just flooring it. Got to get around everybody. So we need to keep an eye out for stop traffic, because traffic is really thick out here. We hit some bidirectional and it's gonna probably slow down. So I have to keep an eye out for stop traffic. So I think I'll stop the video once we get into the single lane. That way, if there is like some stop traffic and some drama, you'll be able to see it. I don't want to leave you on a cliffhanger. Oh, I'm coming up on this construction that might have stop traffic, and then I just end the video and you don't get to see me coming up onto the construction. So we'll record until I get up to that single lane, There's a big pack of four-wheelers coming up on me really fast. Everybody wants to get in front of me before the single lane. Yeah, the four-wheelers are going even faster than they were. And this is the kind of crap that causes congestion, is everybody rushing to get in front of the line, and it just causes congestion before we get to the single lane, and it creates the problem that they're trying to avoid. All right, there's a couple of trucks about a mile behind me that are passing each other. Looks like they're snail racing, which is really good. It looks like they're going to be blocking traffic behind me. No, damn it. The truck gave up on passing and dipped back in behind the other truck. So now there's a pack of cars that those trucks blocked in that just got freed up about a mile back. And now they're all going to be racing to get in front of me before the single lane. $3.79. We got 3 miles to go. Who knows? Maybe. Oh, no. I was about to say maybe there's no single lane, but they said it was bi-directional. There's no way that they would just move the. You can't just like move the cones over and open up single lane. If they've got it bi-directional, then like that's kind of a big thing. It's hard to undo that if they're not actively under construction. But there's a lot of times it'll say that there's single lane up ahead and it doesn't actually go single lane because they're not doing construction on it and they moved the cones or barrels or whatever over and opened it up. At this point, I'm just kind of hoping we hurry up and get into the single lane, because the longer it goes, the more risky it gets. Still got 2 miles. This is 380. And every time we come up on single lane, I just get really scared because of how aggressive people are. And if I get some really aggressive person trying to pass me going into the single lane, it can get really dangerous. I've had semi trucks, like you would think somebody driving a semi truck wouldn't try something stupid like passing in an ending lane going into a single lane at the last second, but it's happened to me many times. All right, now let's see what the trucks. There's a couple of trucks that just caught up with me, and they know that it's going single lane in 1 mile. So I'm watching them to see what they're doing. Are they going to just sit behind me, or are they looking like they're speeding up to pass? We're going up a little hill here, so if they've got any weight on them. All right, the truck behind me looks like it's trying to pass. We're at 382. This is when the single lane is supposed to start, and this truck is passing me right now. So this person right here is very aggressive. I still haven't seen a sign about the single lane yet, even though the sign back there said it started at 382. We're at mile marker 382, and it still hasn't started. All right, and I've got a bunch of trucks, like 3 or 4 trucks behind me. Some of them appear to be like sitting behind me, and there's some of them are passing. But there's no bi-directional happening. We're at 383 now. Got 13 miles until we get off the interstate. And once we get over this hill, hopefully we'll be able to see for a while. All right, now all of the trucks that were just kind of hanging out behind me are passing. All right, we got some construction signs that we're coming up to. And there's nothing on the signs. So it looks like they have cleared up the bi-directional, or they just haven't started the bi-directional yet. I don't know. We've got more construction signs that we're coming up to, but whoever the idiot was that put up the construction sign, nothing happened at 382. We're 3 miles past 382, and still nothing has happened. Road work in 2 miles. So it looks like the bi-directional is starting in 2 miles. So maybe 2 miles would be 387. So it appears most likely what happened was somebody gave somebody a handwritten note of construction starting at mile marker 387, and the person that read the note thought the 7 was a 2. All right, speed limit is dropped down to 65, and there's no vehicle behind me for about a half a mile. There's 4-wheelers behind me about a half mile back, and it looks like we're about to go into some single lane bi-directional. So hopefully the 4-wheelers slow down to the speed limit. And I'm glad that I'm not in the pack of vehicles in front of me that are still driving side by side with us going in. Nope, the 4-wheelers behind me are still trying to pass. They did not slow down. This SUV is going like 90 miles an hour trying to get around me. They realized we were going into single lane and floored it. Now the speed limit's down to 55, and these 4-wheelers are still going like 80, 90 miles an hour trying to... Oh my God. That truck is out there trying to pass people as they're going into single lane. Please don't get into an accident. All right, 8 miles. It looks like... Oh, we're not losing lanes. So it's not going single lane. We're just going bi-directional, but it's still 2 lanes on each side. So all these people are freaking out for no reason. Speed limit's 55. We're still doing 65. I'm doing 10 over the speed limit right now. Now we're doing 62. But all these cars are still like aggressively passing. All right. Looks like the vehicles behind me have realized that it's not going single lane, and they've calmed down a little bit. I've got 9 miles to my exit. So that's the drama of the construction. We did not go single lane. These cars that were driving 80, 90 miles an hour to get in front of me are now doing like 60. Isn't that crazy? Like, people will drive 20, 30 miles an hour over the speed limit to get around you, and then once they get in front of you, they slow down to the speed limit. Like, what is wrong with you? You just, like, what is it in the way that, like, some people's minds work that makes sense to them? It's like people are driving around having panic attacks. They drive like scared animals. It's like, I've got to get around these cars. Oh my God, there's construction. I've got to get in front of that truck. I mean, that's like what's going through their mind. That's the way they drive. It's like a cornered animal. The speed limit is 65 or 55, I'm sorry, and I'm doing 65 right now. And people are still just flying by me. So I said that I was not going to record up until I got, all the way up to the, Lincoln, Nebraska, but like now we're only 6 miles away. Why not just keep recording? Trucks use left lane next 4 miles. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Do you know why they want trucks to use the left lane? Because there's no shoulder on the left lane. So no, I'm going to stay in the lane that has a shoulder. Screw you guys. What kind of idiot would want, like, the widest vehicle to be in the narrowest lane? Like, the people who make up these signs and these rules and stuff like that, they've never driven a truck. They don't understand. Like, it just ticks me off. Like, some of these signs that say trucks use left lane for the next couple of miles, they have legitimate reasons. Like, oh, there's a whole bunch of on and off ramp traffic. Trucks get over in the left lane because there's going to be a whole bunch of traffic coming on and off in the right lane. And, you have really long vehicles that make it difficult for people to merge on and off. So get over in the left lane. But to have trucks get over in the left lane because it's a narrow lane and they want cars to have the wider lane, it just doesn't make any damn sense to me. I don't think there's been a single on-off ramp throughout this construction. So it's not on and off ramps that they want us in the left lane for. 3.6 miles, and I'm hoping that most of these people are not getting on the same road that I'm getting on. Traffic should lighten up for me once I get south of Kansas City. South of Kansas City, I hop onto State Road 13 or Highway 13. I don't know if it's a state road or a highway. And I take that down to Springfield, and then in Springfield, I go south on some highways and state roads. So I'm expecting traffic is going to be like this all the way until I get south of Kansas City onto 13. But who knows? Maybe it'll lighten up as soon as I get off of 80. Now, all these cars that were driving 20, 30 miles an hour over the speed limit to get in front of me are now just Sunday strolling in front of me. I'm having to slow down for them. I hope they all take this exit. The way they're stacked up in that right lane, it's like they are.
For US 77 South toward Nebraska 2, Beatrice.
All right, looks like this is the end of the construction. Speed limit has gone back up to 65. All these cars are still doing 55. All right, now they're speeding up. Harley Davidson over on the right. It's a big Harley Davidson dealership. All right, 1 mile until my exit. So this exit lane must be for me. Highway 77 South. Exit 397. That's my exit. So we're in the exit lane. We're doing the things. And it looks like most of the people, unless they're going to take the exit at the last second, looks like most people are going straight. So that's good. All right, I'm going to tap the brakes, turn off the cruise control. 50 mile per hour exit. We're doing 62 right now. Let's go ahead and do some engine braking. There's somebody walking down the shoulder with a suitcase.
Take exit 397.
All right, we're at 55. Need to get down to 50. 52, 51, 49, 48. Now we're accelerating through the turn. Looks like it's an easy. All right, it says I have my own lane, so I don't need to merge into the other lane.
Continue on US 77 South for 9
All right,
miles.
speed limit is 60. Lots and lots of railroads. Oh my goodness, this is quite the rail yard. Oh, now we're on a brand new road. Nice. I hope that they finish this all the way through, because it was like this really nice brand new divided road from Interstate 29 throughout like half to 3/4 of the drive last time I drove this. And I hope that they finished it to where it's like this all the way to 29. Because it's been a couple of years since I've driven through here. Speed limit is still 60. When are you going to go up? When's the speed limit going to go up to 65? Yeah, this is a good sign. This means that maybe traffic on 29 all the way down to Kansas City might be nice. And then driving across Kansas City is going to suck. But once I get south of Kansas City on 13, traffic should be awesome. And it should just basically be awesome the rest of the drive. And I don't have to do any bi-directionals across Missouri or Arkansas in this drive shift. That's all going to be in the next drive shift that I have to do the bi-directionals. I think it's like 60 to 100 miles of bi-directionals across Missouri and Arkansas. Cutting across from Springfield to West Memphis, Arkansas. Springfield, Missouri to West Memphis, Arkansas. And is it going to be 60 mile per hour speed limit the whole way there? I think I might eat some cookies whenever I take my 30 at the fuel island. All right, we got a stoplight. That's the reason the speed limit hasn't gone up above 60. It's red right now. So maybe once we get past this, maybe it'll go up to 65 or 70. Engine braking prohibited. Yeah, right. All right, just turned green. I don't obey any of the engine brake restriction signs that I see because I have muffled engine brakes. My engine brakes are almost the same decibel as my engine. So they really need to change all these ordinances about engine brakes to unmuffled engine brakes. They need to specify unmuffled engine brakes. It just shows a level of ignorance. We got another light. Whenever they ban all engine brakes, because like my engine brakes are not loud. And it's a safety issue to not use the secondary braking system in these trucks. Like, we have engine brakes for a reason. It's because these are really heavy vehicles. We have secondary braking systems on them because they're really hard to stop. They're really hard to slow down. All right, we got another light not long down the road. Once we get through these lights, speed limit will probably go up to 65 or 70, maybe even 75. And I can set the cruise again. Well, just turn it back on. I mean, I don't have to reset it. It's still set at 65. All right, let's start slowing down because it looks like this light just turned red, so it's going to be red for a minute. This ABF in front of me. All right, just turned green. We're still slowing down, 35, 34. This ABF is going to accelerate slow. All right, now we're coasting at 30 miles an hour. I could be aggressive and get out and pass this ABF, and I'm sure I'll be able to make around them. But I'm 90% certain that this ABF is going to go faster than me once they get up to speed. And I don't like playing leapfrog. We're up to 45. All right, speed limit just bumped up to 70, which means we're most likely through all of the lights. There's not going to be any lights for maybe the rest of the drive, or at least a long ways. It's saying that I have to make a left turn in 3 miles to get onto State Road 2. All right, ABF, did you not see that the speed limit went to 70? We're doing 60. ABF is just sitting at 60 right now. This is usually what happens is I regret not passing people. All right, there's another sign that says 70, so maybe ABF will see that sign. We're still doing 60. I promise you, if I get out and start to pass ABF, they're going to speed up to 70. All right, 2 miles until it's telling me I need to take a left lane exit to stay or to get onto Highway 2 or State Road 2. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get ABF to speed up. I'm not going to sit back here and do 60 behind ABF. This person's probably distracted playing on their phone, and they had their cruise set at 60, and they don't realize the speed limit's gone up, and they're just chilling at 60. All right, it looks like the 2 left lanes are going to Nebraska 2.
In half a mile, slight left onto Nebraska 2.
And ABF is still back there doing 60 miles an hour. Maybe they're taking this exit. Who knows what's going on with ABF? I don't know why they're doing 60. All right, we're looking for any kind of signs. I'm going to go ahead and slow down, but I don't see any signs about exit speed, which means if there's no sign, you should be safe to go the speed limit around a turn or an exit. We're doing 62. ABF hopped on here with me, still behind me, and he sped up. We're doing 65, and he's catching up with me right now. So he realized that he was only doing 60 after I passed him, and now he's sped up. He'll be passing me in a minute. All right, I'm turning my cruise back on to 65. And now we're just going to cruise down this beautiful road, this brand new road. It looks like they finished it, and it's going to be like this the entire drive, all the way over to Interstate 29. This is awesome. There's a really, really nice cut across that saves 50 miles. And the way they've designed this is like an interstate, so they might get it classified as an interstate and get federal funding for it and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video now. It just keeps getting longer and longer. So we have a nice daytime driving video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Sorry I didn't have better things to talk about. We just kind of rambled about random stuff. But maybe in the next video we'll do a topic video where I talk about a specific topic and I don't just ramble about whatever. So have a great week. Have a great holiday. I don't have an upload schedule, so I don't know if I'm going to upload another video throughout the holiday. So if I don't end up uploading another video throughout the holiday, then if you celebrate the holiday, then have a happy holiday. If you don't, then have a great week or weekend. And, you know, if you're taking time off, I hope you enjoy it. If you're working it, then I hope you're making a lot of money and enjoying it. So have a good one. Bye.